Well, thanks, Dallas, for making your loss more embarrassing than our loss on Sunday. We appreciate it. No, but seriously, that was pathetic. Welcome back to Grizzly Talks Football. We got NFL Week 11 reactions. We had a couple tank bowls, we had some good games, and we had some blowouts. All of that's going to be talked about in this episode. If you haven't already, if you are new to this series, I will make sure to leave a link in the description so that you guys can view that entire playlist, view every single video so that you're all caught up. You also have it for future videos whenever I post them. Also, make sure you hit that red subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single video. Without further ado, let's get to the games. Kicking things off, we got Thursday Night Football between the Washington Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC East, with the Eagles coming out on top, 26-18. I gotta be honest, I was not expecting this to be a defensive battle until the fourth quarter when Philadelphia finally woke up. But man, Washington have one of its worst games of the year, hands down. Jayden Daniels on the day, he had a pretty okay game, 22 of 32, 190 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. He doesn't get very many turnovers, or cause any. Brian Robinson led rushing with 63 yards and a touchdown. Other than that, the rushing game was pretty bad. And the receiving leader was Austin Eckler. 8 catches for 89 yards, with the only touchdown going to Zach Ertz. That's interesting. I'm not sure if Terry got hurt or not, but he only locked in 1 catch on the day. 1. And the only positive for Washington's defense was that Frankie Luvu had 2 sacks. That was literally the only thing positive. Jalen Hurts had 18 of 28 for 220 yards, and he had a rushing touchdown along with it, with Saquon having 150 yards, 6 yards to carry, and 2 touchdowns. Yeah, Washington just could not stop the run or pass. I think they combined for 450 yards or 440 yards, not sure, but a total yardage absolutely unbelievable. A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert have 5 catches for 60 yards each, leading the receiving corps. Eagles defense had 3 sacks and an interception by Reed Blankenship, the only turnover at the game as well. I gotta be honest with you, this was not the greatest game. This game was just super bland. Next up, we got the Raiders losing to the Miami Dolphins, 34-19. I don't think any of us are surprised. Gardner Minshew actually had a pretty solid game. 30 of 43, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick on the day, and the rushing game was a bunch of dog shit. The most yards rushing for one player was 20 by a receiver. And no surprise, Brock Bowers has to carry the entire team with 13 catches, 126 yards, and a score. He's carrying the entire team. At least Michael Myers back. Besides the defense getting 2 sacks, there was just nothing positive at all for Raiders fans at all. Tua had 28 of 36, 290 yards, 3 touchdowns, a very good game for him. On the day, Devon Achane, 73 rushing yards, 4 yards to carry, and a score. Jonnu Smith is back to leading the receiving corps. This time he had 6 catches, 100 yards, and 2 scores, with Tyreek Hill having the other score. 2 sacks for Miami's defense. Actually, no, 3 of them. Forgot one. Zach Sealer actually had a very solid game. I don't know if he had a foam recovery or not, but he had himself a game. And the only interception was by Jalen Ramsey. Yeah, Sealer did not. This game was just Miami win all over it. Next, moving on. Up next, we got a very unsurprising result. Browns loses to the Saints 35-14. At least Jameis looked good. I mean, seriously, Jameis Winston had 30 of 46 for 400 yards and 2 touchdowns, and the Browns still couldn't stop the Saints. Nick Chubb having 4 yards to carry, he's not getting the ball as much, maybe because of his injury, and Kadarius Toney is on the Browns. What the fuck? Jerry Jeudy had a hell of a game, 6 catches, 142 yards, and a score. Elijah Moore got the other touchdown. But David Njoku also had 9 catches, 80 yards. Besides the interception by Denzel Ward, this defense was horrible. I mean, they couldn't stop anything. They couldn't stop a guy named Taysom Hill. Obviously, his passing numbers were terrible, even though Derek Carr had 21 of 27 for 250 yards and 2 touchdowns. When I said the Browns couldn't stop Taysom Hill, I meant through the rushing game. This guy had 7 carries, 140 yards, and 3 touchdowns on the game. How about that, Saints fans? Taysom Hill is him for sure. Valdez-Scantling goes back to having a few catches, 2 catches, 87 yards, and a score. Jawan Johnson had the other touchdown with Taysom Hill having 8 catches as well. Man, he was all over the field. It's not like the Saints defense did any better. I mean, Brian Brees had 1.5 sacks. It was a total of 3 sacks, but they just couldn't stop the passing game whatsoever. The Browns are so down bad that Jameis Winston actually looked good, and the Browns still lost because, well, their defense has fallen apart. The effects of the Deshaun Watson trade have been horrible for the Browns. I think the Saints are third because of a half a game since the Panthers had a bye, but right now I feel like they are still last in the division. Up next, we had the Colts outlasting the Jets 28-27. Damn. Jets, I think you started to call it end of season weeks ago. Yeah, you guys are fried. Colts may have a chance at a wild card, but they aren't catching Houston. I gotta say, this was a much better game for Anthony Richardson. He had 20 of 30 on the passing game, 300 total yards, 3 total touchdowns, 1 through the air, 2 on the ground. Absolutely incredible for him. I guess that time on the bench really paid off for him because, man, he looks good. No surprise, Josh Downs has 5 catches for 84 yards and a score, the only one of the game through the air. 2 sacks for Kwity Paye. He was a nightmare for Aaron Rodgers. And yeah, this Colts defense, I mean, they did its job at the end of the game. That's all that matters. But what the hell happened here? I mean, Aaron Rodgers played well. I'm not saying he did terrible. 22-29, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns. Breece Hall having 5 yards a carry, 80 yards and a score. Devontae Adams leading receiver with 6 catches for 72 yards. Breece Hall having 2 touchdowns, 1 on the ground, 1 through the air. And the other touchdown went to Kenny Yeboah. I gotta be honest, I haven't heard that name in a long time. Yeah, but besides the 2 sacks and a fumble recovery, they just couldn't stop anything that Anthony Richardson had in his arsenal. Nothing. Oh yeah, Anders Carlson had 2 field goals. Yeah, if Aaron Rodgers got a 4th touchdown, maybe it would have been different, I don't know. Colts defense stepped up when it mattered most. That's really all that matters in this league. And right now, they are close to 500 with a 2-quarterback system. I kind of dig it now. Up next, we had the Vikings beating the Titans 23-13. Yeah, I wasn't expecting the Titans to make this another close game. I was expecting Vikings to win, but by a lot more than they did. Sam Darnold had himself a solid game. 20 of 32, 250 yards, and 2 touchdowns through the air with a rushing touchdown as well. Rushing game otherwise was horrible. Justin Jefferson back to leading the receiving corps, 6 catches, 81 yards, with the 2 touchdowns going to Jordan Addison and Cam Akers out of the backfield. Whoa. 5 sacks for the defense, including 2 from Pat Jones and 2 from Van Ginkel. And Harrison Smith got an interception. First time in a while that he's gotten one. But let me just say, the run game got shut down, literally. They couldn't do it. The Titans couldn't do anything on the run game. Vikings were just all over that game. Like, passing, it was fine. But rushing, yikes. Will Levis, 300 yards, 17 of 31, touchdown and a pick. Not terrible. Skipping the rushing game because obvious reasons. Nick Westbrook-Akine had 2 catches, 120 yards in a score. The only receiving touchdown in the game. Well, the only touchdown on offense. 2 sacks just weren't enough. They just couldn't stop anything, and offense couldn't run the ball whatsoever. They didn't have an effective run game whatsoever. Thank goodness for Nick Folk getting some points as well. He actually got 7 points, more than half that they scored at all. This game was boring anyway. Next. Bears fans, I apologize in advance. Packers beat the Chicago Bears 20-19 on a blocked field goal. Another one? Back-to-back weeks? Bro. Bears, the kicking game has not been on your side in the past decade. Seriously, it hasn't. Jordan Love was solid in the passing game with 260 yards, 13 of 17 for a touchdown and a pick. He only threw 17 times? Josh Jacobs had himself 76 yards in the score, but Jordan Love added a rushing touchdown to his stat line. My man Christian Watson had 4 catches, 150 yards on the day. Welcome back, bro. Jordan and Jaden Reed had himself the only touchdown through the air. 3 sacks for the defense. That was way less than the Patriots had for some reason against the Bears. But they also had a block kick that won them the game, so it really doesn't matter that much. And I'm not saying Caleb Williams did terrible. I mean, he had 23 of 31, 230 yards. DeAndre Swift and Rashawn Johnson got rushing touchdowns. Rushing game was solid. Roma Dunze led receiving with 6 catches for 65 yards, but DJ Moore also had 7 catches for 62. And the Bears defense had 1 sack and an interception by Tyrell Smith. The defense really had nothing going at all. Well, they had the lead for a while, and then Green Bay took the lead. Bears had a chance at winning, and their kick got blocked. Kick got blocked harder than Bears haters getting blocked on Twitter by this team. Bears have got to work out some issues right now because that's sad. Bears fans are just humiliated by this game, and they will continue to be for a long time. Up next, we had the Lions dropping a 50-burger again, this time on the Jags, 52-6. Are we even surprised at this point? This is the best team in the NFL. Yeah, I said it. The Lions are the best team in the league. Hands down. Matt Jones continues to be a struggling starting quarterback. 17 of 29, 140 yards and a pick. Rushing game was just non-existent. The best receiver on the day? Brian Thomas, 5 catches, 82 yards. His elite performance was for absolutely nothing. A big fat 0 for turnovers and sacks. Yeah, Jaguars were lifeless the entire game. Except for Cam Little, apparently. And I counted the total yards. This team, the Lions, had 650 total yards of offense. 650 in an NFL game, a professional football game. Jaguars, you are sad. Jared Goff had 24-29 for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. He looked better than Kirk Cousins did against Tampa Bay. And Hendon Hooker got some snaps as well. Devin Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, the 2-headed monster at running back, continues to dominate. 145 yards and 3 touchdowns for the two combined. I do remember Sione Vaki from Utah, the 2-way player from the Utes. He looked solid. I mean, he got some snaps. He had 10 yards. He was on the bench anyway, so who really cares now? But man, Amon-Ra St. Brown, 11 catches, 160 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jameson Williams, 4 catches, 124 yards and a touchdown. Brock Ray had the other score. Surprisingly, only 1 sack for the Lions, but an interception by... who else? Really? Carlton Davis? No, it says Kirby Joseph. I thought Carlton Davis got a pick. Maybe it got called back. Well, this is at least one game that I'm not embarrassed about, but Jacksonville, you might just want to call this a season and start going for either a new quarterback or, I don't know, a defender maybe. Up next, we got the Rams beating the Patriots in a close game, 28-22. Man, Rams had no defense whatsoever against this team. At least for you, Matt Stafford was elite in this game. 18-27, 300 yards, 4 touchdowns for the man. Kyren Williams, 86 rushing yards. Blake Corum got some snaps as well. Colby Parkinson got the other touchdown, but Puka Nacua, 7 catches, 123 yards and a touchdown. Cooper Kupp, 6 catches, 106 yards and 2 scores. That 2-headed monster receiver is a problem. 3 sacks for the defense, including 2 for Brandon Fisk and an interception by Cameron Kitchens again. He's back. Trey May had a good game as well. 30 of 40, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick on the day. Ramondre Stevenson having 73 rushing yards. I mean, Patriots play well on offense. Kendrick Bourne, can't believe he's still on the Patriots. He had 5 catches for 70 yards and a score. And Fedarian Lowe got the other touchdown. I haven't heard that name before. And just nothing positive for this defense. Absolutely nothing. Let me say, the Patriots had the worst roster in the NFL, yet they're better than the 2017 Browns. Well, everybody's better than the 2017 Browns anyway. Even the 08 Lions were better. New England, I hope maybe you can get a top draft pick and you guys can get a superstar. I don't know. Just never talk of this game again. And the final game of the Sunday 1 o'clock slate, we got the Ravens losing to the Steelers 18-16. FYI, the Steelers didn't score a single touchdown, still won the game. That's twice or 3 times now that the Steelers have done that. This gives me nightmares. Seriously. Like, every single star on this team on Baltimore looked lost. I mean, Lamar had 16 of 33, less than 50% completions, 200 yards, a touchdown, and a pick, with Derrick Henry having only 5 yards a carry. But did have a touchdown, though. Isaiah Likely led receiving with 4 catches for 75 yards. Zay Flowers only led 2 catches for 40 yards in the score. He dropped a pass as well. It was like super open. Lamar Jackson had an amazing out-of-pocket awareness and moves, trying to throw it, and Flowers ruined the play. 4 sacks for this defense as well. Odafe Owe had 2.5 with an interception by Marlon Humphrey. How did this team lose? I mean, Russell Wilson had 23 of 36 for 200 yards, interception, no touchdowns. None on the ground either. George Pickens continues to dominate on the receiving game. 8 catches, 89 yards on the day. 2 sacks with a pick by Peyton Wilson. I mean, seriously. Steeler fans, you better give a big thank you card to Chris Boswell because he needs a lot of love. He needs some respect being put on his name. He's my MVP. The kicker for the Steelers, Chris Boswell, has won 2 or 3 games by only kicking field goals. That was the only form of points for the Steelers in like 2 or 3 games this season. Get it together, Steelers. And the Ravens, I have no idea what to say except just move on to the next game and you better blow your opponent out. Kicking off the Sunday 4 o'clock slate, we had the Seahawks stunning the 49ers 20-17. Yeah, the Ravens-Steelers game and the Seahawks-Niners games were 2 of the only 3 games I got wrong this week. Yeah, I only missed on 3 games. You're going to see the next one after another one, which I don't want to talk about. But I have to. It's my job. I mean, Geno had a solid game, 25 of 32, 220 yards despite an interception. And he got a rushing touchdown along with Kenneth Walker. DK's back, but JSN, Smith-Njigba stole the show with 10 catches for 110 yards. And as far as the Seahawks defense goes, interception by Jonathan Hankins. It was a tipped ball that went to his hands. There were also 2 sacks on the game for the Seahawks D. I don't even know what to say, Purdy. You had 21 of 28, 160 yards, a touchdown, and a pick, but you did have a rushing touchdown to add to it. McCaffrey only had 80 yards on 4 yards of carry. What is happening? Jawan Jennings, of all people, led the receiving with 10 catches, 91 yards, and the only touchdown through the air. The missing of George Kittle and Nick Bosa really hurt this Niners team. I mean, Nick Bosa had 1.5 sacks along with Leonard Floyd, 4 total sacks with Isaac Iadom with the interception on the day. And surprisingly, Fred Warner was out of a lot of the plays. He only had 3 total tackles in this game. Yeah, only thing I gotta say is the NFC West is a mess. How many times you want to punch Mars right now? I swear to God. Denver absolutely humiliated the Falcons, 38-6. This wasn't even close. Kirk Cousins had a horrible game. Raheem Morris is terrible at coaching. He keeps on letting Zach Robinson go screens like, screens aren't working! Thank goodness Younghoe Koo had a way better day this game than he did against the Aints last week. Cousins, 18-27, 170 yards and a pick. Well, at least Michael Penix had some snaps. Rushing game, non-existent. Leading receiver, not surprising that it was Drake London with 3 catches for 61 yards. And Kyle Pitts had 1 catch all game. Kyle Pitts deserves better. Juhan had a sack, but this defense crumbled before our very eyes on every aspect of the game. Bo Nix had his best game of his career against us. 28 of 33 for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns in this game alone. Javonte Williams, 60 yards on 6 yards to carry, and he got the only rushing touchdown. Cortland Sutton led receiver with 7 catches for 78 yards, but the touchdowns went to, Nate Atkins, his Oregon teammate Troy Franklin, I'm talking about Bo Nix, Marvin Mims, and Lil Jordan Humphrey. Sorry, I forgot to mention Youngway made a 50-yarder and a 40-plus yarder in this game, and he was the only source of points in this game. So thanks, Youngway. Your services were not rewarded by how well our offensive defense played this game. I apologize. Cody Barton got a pick, and they got a total of 4 sacks. I almost missed 2 of them by Nick Bonito. Next game, I don't want to talk anymore about this. This is embarrassing. Next week, go on. Oh, wait, we got a bye week. Well, advance to the bye week. Work out your issues. Let's go move on to our next game, please. In the final game of the Sunday 4 o'clock slate, in the final game that I got incorrect because for the first time this season, I got every primetime game correct. I'm talking about Thursday night, Sunday night, and Monday night. Anyways, the Chiefs suffered their first down of the season against the Buffalo Bills. Thank the Lord! The 15-game winning streak is over. Don't feel like this is the end of the world, Kansas City, because you guys might three-peat after all. Fuck. Patrick Mahomes tried everything, but he can't do everything by himself when the rushing game gets shut down every time. 23 of 33, 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks for the guy. Kareem Hunt was literally the only source of rushing, 60 yards on the day. Everybody else, terrible. Well, they ran the ball 17 times, so no surprise there. 2 touchdowns for Noah Gray for 4 catches for 23 yards, and Xavier Worthy had 4 catches for 61 yards and a score. And Mr. Swifty Boy had 2 catches for 8 yards. Yeah, fantasy owners, I hope you're not pissed. Oh, wait, you guys definitely are. My bad. Shamari Carter's interception was for absolutely nothing, because the Chiefs couldn't stop the run. I mean, Josh Allen had 27 of 40 for 260 yards, a touchdown through the air, touchdown through the ground, despite an interception. And James Cook had himself 2 scores, even though he only had 20 rushing yards on the day. Khalil Shakir led the receiving game with 8 catches for 70 yards, and Curtis Samuel had the only receiving touchdown. I haven't said that name in a long time either. Von Miller's back in the sack column. I think he's back from suspension. I'm not too sure. Terrell Bernard had a sack and interception, another interception along with Taylor Rapp. I think it was Bernard who got the pick that sealed the game for the Bills. Did I also forget to mention they also did this with Tyler Bass missing an extra point? Yeah. Fucking Tyler Bass. You were not the reason why the Bills won this game at all. Let me just tell you that right now. You were not the reason that the Chiefs lost this game. Well, the Bills almost lost this game. Not because of your missed extra point, though, so you better be lucky. The ghosts of the 72 Dolphins have answered our prayers. Thank you so much. I am not going to hear the end of it if the Chiefs ran the table the whole way and went 20-0. Yeah. I would literally just hear every Chiefs fan saying we're the best. Every time. In my head, if they would have done it. And now we got the Sunday Night Football game between the Bengals and the Chargers. Chargers blew a 21-point lead and still won the game. 34-27 was the final. Somehow the Chargers defense did not show up in the second half whatsoever. They showed up in the first half, only allowing 2 field goals, but second half not so much. They still won though. Oh wait, sorry, no, it was an 18-point lead, not a 21-point lead. Yeah. It was still a 3-score lead, though, that the Chargers had, but they still won despite blowing it. Joe Burrow, heck of a game. He threw 50 times, 28 of 50 for 350 yards, 3 touchdowns, with Chase Brown getting 86 rushing yards on the day. T. Higgins came alive with 9 catches, 150 yards, and a touchdown. Jamar Chase, 7 catches, 75 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Pay those men. 2 sacks on the day, but eventually didn't matter. They couldn't stop the Chargers whatsoever. Well, second half they did a lot better, but the first half? Oof. No. Justin Herbert had himself a solid game. 17 of 36 for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns through the air. J.K. Dobbins had 2 touchdowns on the ground. And Lamb McConkey continues to be elite on the Chargers receiving corps with 6 catches for 123 yards. And the touchdowns went to Will Dissly and Quentin Johnston. Quentin Johnston on another touchdown streak was very surprising. 3 sacks on the day, including 1.5 for Tuli Tuipulotu. I have said that name for a couple weeks. He's been pretty solid. Defense kind of broke down in the second half, but didn't matter because they still won. But seriously, Jim Harbaugh, you cannot be blowing games like that. You have got to keep it together. Please. Bengals, you have to go on a 6-game winning streak to even have a chance at the playoffs. Otherwise, yeah, you're done. Speaking of a team who's done, how the turntables. That's like this, what they say. Anyways, Houston defeats Dallas in a very non-close game, 34-10. A Texas showdown? Yeah, no, this was a Texas massacre. Stroud did what he had to win the game. 23 of 34, 250 yards. I know he threw an interception, but Joe Mixon carried the load with 100 yards and 3 touchdowns on Monday night. Nico Collins is back. He should have had a 77-yard score on the first play of the game if it wasn't for a fucking ineligible man downfield penalty. He and Tank Dell had the same numbers of 4 catches and 54 yards. 5 sacks on the day, including 2 from Danielle Hunter. There was also a strip sack by Derek Barnett, and he was able to get a scoop and score because Jalen Peter also had a forced fumble on the offensive lineman that picked up the ball. But an interception by Derek Stingley, there should have been 3 picks. They dropped 2 of them. As for Dallas, it has been a mess. I mean, Trey Lance isn't even playing this game. Like, rushing game's horrible. Cooper Rush, 32 of 55 for 350 yards, a touchdown, a pick, and a lost fumble. Actually, quite a couple of them. CeeDee Lamb continues to impress with 8 catches for 93 yards. Get him out of the Cowboys. He is not going to be wasting his talent on a team that can't perform, either regular season or postseason. With Cavante Turpin having 3 catches, 86 yards, and the only touchdown in the game for the Cowgirls. Yeah, this game, y'all play like Cowgirls. Seriously. A second interception by Malik Hooker. I did not think he was on the Cowboys, but okay then. Oh yeah, and Aubrey made a 53-yard field goal, but missed one as well. Yeah, this team is going nowhere. Dallas, time to chalk it up and go to the draft board because you aren't doing shit. Houston, welcome back to the win column. Don't be as inconsistent as you have been. Anyways, that is going to do it for Grizzly Talks Football. If you have enjoyed this episode, make sure you smash that like button, hit the red subscribe button, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single video. Yeah, you. This is the Grizz signing off, and until next time, I will see you guys later. Peace.